I saw the two biggest superhero movies of the year, so I figured I should talk about that. So here are my thoughts on Superman and Fantastic Four: The First Steps. So Superman is written and directed by James Gunn, and Fantastic Four is directed by Matt Shankman, who was previously, I think, the showrunner on WandaVision, and it's written by like a bunch of writers. So there are like four that are listed on IMDb. So I'm going to briefly go over the plot. I'm going to summarize it in like one line, so I don't, give away any spoilers. So in Superman, Lex Luthor really hates Superman and he wants to kill Superman. And in Fantastic Four, Galactus wants to eat Earth, and the Fantastic Four have to stop him. So I'm going to break down this review into like multiple sections, and I'll go through each section and talk about what I liked in each film. So I'll start off with the characters and the acting. So with Superman, the characterization generally across the board is really good because James Gunn is very good at writing characters and at writing dialogues. This is probably one of the best portrayals of Superman on screen because he's just a nice guy who wants to do the right thing. And he doesn't care about politics and he doesn't care about, the repercussions of it. He just wants to help people. And David Gordon Sweat, who plays Superman, does like a brilliant job of, bringing that to the screen. And then you have Lex Luthor, who is played by Nicholas Hoult. And Lex Luthor is like the complete opposite of Superman in some ways, but he's just, his entire motivation is that he really hates Superman. And he wants to kill Superman. Like, that's it.
Who raised you as a child? I'll kill them too.
And the great thing about that is that they don't, like, James Gunn doesn't try to give him like some kind of a sad backstory or, like, this is why he is the way he is. He just wants to kill Superman. Like, that's it. He just hates Superman because, I think in some ways it's like jealousy because Lex Luthor is the richest guy in the world, and he's really smart and he's done all of these things, but everyone likes Superman. And he just hates Superman. He's the perfect villain for this. He's also like one of the best portrayals of Lex Luthor on screen. And then you get Lois Lane, who you finally get like Lois Lane doing like a lot of reporter stuff. She gets to do, a fair bit of investigative journalism. So you get this opening scene where she's interviewing Superman in her apartment, and that's done extremely well. Also, like the romance between Superman and Lois Lane is really good. And apparently their kissing was so horny that Indian censor board went like, no, we got to edit this out. As usual, like James Gunn is really good at writing all sort of like the minor characters as well. So you get Jimmy Olsen, and he gets his moment to shine. He's like a chick magnet, and he gets to do a fair bit of investigative journalism as well. And you have like the Justice Gang with like Mr. Terrific, who's great. You have Guy Gardner, who is like a Green Lantern I had never heard of, but like Nathan Fillion does a great job of portraying him because he's a good guy, but he's an absolute asshole. So Nathan Fillion does a good job with that. You get Hawkgirl. Hawkgirl doesn't get a lot to do, except she does get her one moment towards the end. And then, so even a really minor character like you have Lex Luthor's girlfriend, even she gets her moment to shine. So that's the good thing about James Gunn. Like, not only, like, the movie is overstuffed, like there are way too many characters, but he also managed to give each character their moments. So you don't really feel like, oh, this character was there, but they didn't get anything to do. Like even a character like Metamorpho, again, like the great thing about, another great thing about James Gunn is he managed to pick up like these really obscure characters from the comics, and he gives them like, great moments in these movies. Like with Suicide Squad, like the Suicide Squad, you had like the Polka Dot Man. Never heard of Polka Dot Man, or like the Rat Catcher, but they get like these great, really emotional scenes to do in the movie. It's the same thing here. Like I've never heard of Mr. Terrific, I've never heard of Guy Gardner or Metamorpho, but he manages to give everyone like their moments, and give them good moments that you will remember these characters. Okay, so that's as far as Superman is concerned. With Fantastic Four, you only have like 6 major characters, right? So you have like the main 4, right? Like the Fantastic Four, and then you have like Silver Surfer and you have Galactus. it's written well, like there are no real memorable dialogues. It's surprisingly less quippy funny than a usual Marvel movie. Actually, it's like almost there is no quippy funny dialogue at all. So it kind of swings the pendulum in like the completely opposite direction. I think they should have found like a middle ground, would have been better. The coolest character is Silver Surfer because she's really cool and she gets like a lot of really, really fun moments in the movie. Galactus is fine. He gets a few moments here and there. He shows up in the end. He gets, he shows up in the middle as well. He has a few dialogues, but not a lot. As a villain, I think he's okay. Like, he could have done more. I don't know. But yeah, as a villain, he's okay. Like, in comparison to Lex Luthor is there in the movie, like, throughout. Galactus is sort of like, he shows up in the second act and then he shows up, in the end. But yeah, like, you don't get too much from Galactus. Okay, second point, the plot. Okay, so plot-wise, Superman is very episodic. So I think from what I read, or like, way back in like 2024 or whatever, when this film was being made, I think the initial idea that James Gunn had was they were going to do it like 1 week in the life of Superman. So it was supposed to be like the daily adventures of Superman, which is still very much feels like that. It's not like they don't really say that anymore. But it very much feels like, okay, Monday he's going to fight the Hammer of Boravia, and then Tuesday he'll fight a kaiju, and then Wednesday this will happen. So it's like, it's very much still broken up like that, where it's like, daily adventures of Superman. But because each adventure is kind of fun and interesting, you don't really, you don't really get bored. So like, I can't even tell you if there is like a 3-act structure to this. Like, it's probably like a 5-act structure. I don't know. So yeah, like it is very episodic. In comparison to that, like Fantastic Four is very much like, first act, second act, third act. Even though like it's a pretty short movie, it's like an hour 55. And in the first act, they spent like the first 20 minutes is a montage, where they just like, they introduce the Fantastic Four, like, oh, 4 brave astronauts went into space and they got superpowers. And then blah blah blah, and then all the various adventures, they fight the mole man and they fight like an army of monkeys and like stuff like that. The first 20 minutes of the film is just a montage, but the best part about the movie is the second act. Like in the second act, they go off into space. I won't like go into spoilers or anything, but they go off into space, and that stuff is the best part of the movie. I think Matt Shankman just watched like Interstellar and went like, let's just rip off Interstellar. So like they go through a wormhole, which feels very much like Interstellar. There's a point they end up near a black hole, which very much feels like it's out of Interstellar. And I mean, like, why not? Like if you're gonna do a space movie, rip off like the great space movies, right? Like, so with Interstellar, they were, Nolan was clearly inspired by 2001. With this one, they're inspired by Interstellar. So I'm like, going forward, if Marvel or any superhero movie wants to do like space stuff, just copy Interstellar. It looks great. So yeah, so like the second act is fantastic. Like it is the best part of the movie, which is why like coming into the third act, it kind of slows down a lot. And yeah, like they do fight Galactus, but it doesn't have the same punch that you get in the second act. So like in that sense, it's sort of like Iron Man 2, where in Iron Man 2, like the best fight scene is in the beginning. Right, when the villain attacks Iron Man on the Formula One race course, like that is the best part of the movie, and then the rest of the movie kind of like no other fight scene sort of lives up to that. It's the same issue over here. Point 3, visuals. So Superman is okay, like from a cinematography standpoint, from an art design standpoint, set design, whatever, it's fine. The Fortress of Solitude is nice. The whole scene where in the beginning where Lois Lane is interviewing Superman in her apartment, that's lit up nicely. The Daily Planet looks nice, but in general, there's nothing here where it makes me go like, oh man, that was a really cool shot. It's fine overall. Like I don't like with James Gunn, I like his writing. I like the characters that he builds up, but I don't think James Gunn is a very good visual director. In comparison to that, Fantastic Four is the best art directed Marvel movie ever made. I mean, that might sound like hyperbole, but I truly believe that. Like, I don't think I've seen a Marvel movie which with this much attention to detail to the set design and the architecture and like everything. Like this, the world building is fantastic, right? So it's got this very like if you got the if you made like a live action Jetsons and Incredibles, like it has this very sort of 60s retro futuristic aesthetic to it, and they bring it to life beautifully. So the set design, the design of the gadgets, their car, their spaceship, like everything is so beautifully done. And it doesn't just stop there. So what they also do is like the blue color or the shade of blue that they use for the Fantastic Four costumes, they use that everywhere. So it's the like Reed Richards' lab is the same shade of blue, and their spaceship has the same shade of blue. The dials in the spaceship have the same shade of blue. And it's not just that, like even when they go out into the world, like you have buses which are the same shade of blue, and you have like billboards which are the same blue color. So it really feels like someone sat down and said, we're going to art direct the fuck out of this movie. And it's great. Like I would want more superhero movies to pay this much attention to like art direction, because it is fun to watch. Like it reminded me of, I'd seen this film by Pedro Almodovar called Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown. And Pedro Almodovar likes to do that. Like he likes using like very like primary colors and like solid blocks of color. So he uses red a lot in that movie, and you can like so much that you kind of notice it, where you go like, okay, yeah, red everywhere. And yeah, I mean, it looks great. So it's the same thing with this, like beautiful looking movie. Like the space stuff is beautiful anyways, but like all the earth stuff, because it's so well art directed, it looks great. So yeah, comparing the two, like Fantastic Four wins by like a light year. Like it is genuinely, I would probably say it's like in like the top 5 best looking superhero movies, as far as like set design and art direction is concerned. Like the only things that would probably come close would be something like like the Tim Burton Batman movies, because Tim Burton pays a lot of attention to stuff like that. Point 4, VFX. Was that point 4? I don't know. I think point 4, VFX. Both movies are great. Like with Superman, you have Crypto, and Crypto is fantastic and beautifully animated. Like I think it's Framestore that did the work for Crypto. Hats off to all the animators who worked on Crypto, because Crypto is one of those characters where about 5 minutes into the movie you kind of forget that Crypto isn't a real dog. So it's sort of like when I watched, like when you watch something like Stuart Little, right? And like because it's so well animated and so well acted, that about 5-10 minutes into the movie you just forget that this is not a real character, and you just sort of go with it. It's the same thing with Crypto. But like beyond Crypto, like everything, like you get a giant kaiju, you get like the whole pocket universe thing. All the VFX work is brilliant, with also a lot of practical stuff that got done in the movie. With Fantastic Four is the same thing, right? Like there's a lot of practical work. Like the Fantastic Four have like this robot, who looks a bit like Wall-E. Okay, but I think that's practical. Like they actually built like an animatronic puppet or something. Galactus is practical. Like he's played by an actor called Ralph Ineson, and there are like I found like a behind the scenes photo where Ralph Ineson is in like the full Galactus costume. So yeah, so that is practical to whatever extent. Like the shot when he's walking through the city, I don't know how much of that is miniature work, and there has to be a lot of VFX work in there as well. The Silver Surfer is great, like beautifully animated. She actually like surfs in space, which is like she lives up to that name. But yeah, on a VFX level, both films are good. Like no issues with either one. Okay, so personal choice, I would like personally I like Superman more because it's more fun and it's sillier. I like silly stuff, and James Gunn has this good ability to sort of pick up like the silliest aspects of superhero movies and bring them on the big screen, and he does it well. Okay. Also, it's written really well. Like the dialogues are good. A much better villain. Like a villain who like really hates Superman. Like with no redeeming quality. So that's like a great villain to have. Fantastic Four, as I said, like it's nice. It's not bad at all. Great second act. Galactus is nice, but in comparison, I think like Lex Luthor is a much better villain. Beautiful art direction, excellent set design. Recommendations: watch both of them on the big screen if you can. Like I found Superman to be more fun, but even like Fantastic Four, I think it's worth watching on the big screen just to sort of enjoy like the set design and the attention to detail to like the art direction and everything. And like a friend of mine kind of said like Fantastic Four, he hasn't seen the movie yet, but he watched the trailer and he said like it feels like what if Wes Anderson would have directed a superhero movie, and it very much sort of feels like that. So yeah, watch both films, they're fun.